Hi, I'm Jeff Siadek.
And I'm Joey Vigour. We're both local California indie board game designers and publishers.
That's right. Today we're going to talk about why we game. The main reason, obviously, I think, is to have fun. It's just fun to be in that little fake world, and the consequences of it are you might win or you might lose, but it's not real world life-changing.
Yeah. There's companionship, I guess, if you're alienated and lonely and alone.
I think people like to hang out with people, and this is something to do that's interactive together as opposed to just watching a podcast.
It's not really about the game. The game is just basically a facilitation device. It's just an excuse to get together. You don't have to just sit there awkwardly. You just okay, well, it's all about the game. It's all about the game, but really it's not about the game.
Yes. But the reason that I think we pick games for those activities, because we could be quilting or, whatever, is because in games you create stories. So even when I end up losing in a game of Titan, there was that one moment where I killed an angel in one blow with
a lucky roll.
Although, maybe a lucky roll once in a while. So, and the other things people like about games is they like the puzzle challenge. You like to think about what's going on. And, pandemic is like this where you're trying to figure out, we need to get the logistics covered.
Yeah. There's a reward that you sort of experience when you realize you've solved a problem. It's kind of like when squirrels were nibbling the inside of my the hoses on my car. And so I built a little fence underneath my car to prevent them. And it's like, wow, now I don't have to keep replacing my hoses. It's a sense of accomplishment you wouldn't understand because you're not a car guy. But
and also, I'm not much of a squirrel wrangler. I know that's your thing.
What else we got? Nothing better to do? What does that mean?
It's just that people will do it. Some people will come to hang out because that's just what people are doing.
I see. But it's actually kind of nice because if you say, hey, we're playing this game, you want to come out, people you don't know that well, they might not feel comfortable in the social situation. It kind of goes back to what we said earlier. You show up, and you're like, let's play the game. And now you're like, it's sort of a way to test the waters. Do you want to be a friend?
You're interacting, but you're not.
Are we good fit? You sit down with somebody, you don't have to get into ideologically, do we agree with this philosophy? Forget it. Just have an excuse basically to get together.
And the last thing I have on my list is education because you can learn stuff in gaming, but I don't like that as a reason. I feel like almost any educational game I've played would have been much better if there was educational elements were pulled out because the fun usually. However, notable exception is that the 10 Days series, I've learned a lot more geography from that.
Okay. So. I actually have two things. They're connected. They're sort of polar opposites. And it sort of goes back to why I game, and it's quite maybe different from why you game. I think most people, one of the reasons they game is an element of escapism that, sometimes the real world is a little bit hard or you're going through a tough time, or even if you're not, you just want to sort of disappear and some people drink or whatever, party, and I think a lot of people in our scene game, and I think that's a perfectly valid reason, but I have the opposite reason why I game, which is I actually like being more connected. I like my life, I like the world around me, I'm interested in how it works, and for me it's why I don't like fantasy basically at all. But I find a weird connection to science fiction, especially the kind of harder science fiction.
Science fiction is just fantasy set in the future, right?
You would think that, but that's false.
Okay.
It's objectively false. For example, this is a whole nother video, but okay. So High Frontier, you've played High Frontier.
Yes.
Okay, is High Frontier magical elves and unicorns?
It doesn't have to be magic. It doesn't have to be elves for it to be magical, but the idea that you can get a ship into space is plausible. But the fact is that we're not using that technology yet, or in the way that it's intended, and so.
Yeah, we launch ships to space all the time because
in High Frontier, you're colonizing Mars and.
We've sent probes we're colonizing Mars,
but we're not there yet. That's why
it's cynics like you that don't believe that that science fiction inspires people. Fantasy is you get together with your friends and you watch a movie 100 times and you say you love it, and then it's basically just fandom. It's just you're just being milked like a cow for your money.
So
there's no brain awakening.
Would you say Star Wars is more science or more fantasy?
Fantasy.
Let's have a talk about that sometime.
But magical. I mean, I'm a magical unicorn, and look at me. I have a spell. I've cast a spell on you.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna use the power of the Force to choke you.
Yeah, you're just talking about two fantasy concepts. I'm talking about science fiction.
Yeah, I'm saying that science fiction. What makes science fiction is when it's no longer in the realm of the possible. That when it gets just slightly outside that edge and then goes farther, that's when it becomes. It has to be fantastical, because if we could make lightsabers, we would, and then there they would be. So because it's fantasy because it's not real, and it's okay.
It is real. It is real. They are making lightsabers. They already have the prototypes.
Let's talk about science fiction some other time. Let's talk now about why we game, or why we don't game.
So there's escapism. And then there's the opposite, which is sort of what would be the opposite of escapism?
Connection, finding connection.
Finding connection to real life and real world. For me, I'm inspired by my favorite games, and I'm inspired by the human relationships that I sort of sense in them. And Cosmic Encounter is science fiction, but it's not escapism, because I'm learning how to communicate with you. It's so much better than let's all just get together and I'll be a magical lord and you'll be my fawn prince friend.
Let's put an end to the science fiction fantasy fight right now, because we can have it later.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm Joey Vigour, and I like science fiction.
I'm Jeff Siadek, and I love science fiction, and I love gaming, and science fiction is fantasy.
Right, but wasn't your favorite game of all time Titan? And that's magical fantasies with dragons.
They're using the technology of having dragons to get colossuses so they can kick ass.
Have a great day.